I brought a knife this weekend. We gave some away, but this is called a kukri knife. Has anybody ever heard of this? I want to give you a brief history of the kukri. I feel like Pastor Dan up here, okay? I wanted him to feel part of this Sunday. The kukri knife was carried by the Gurkha army and the Gurkha warriors during World War I and World War II. In fact, during World War II, when their enemies, the Nazis, would come into a region, an entire Nazi regiment would often surrender if they heard that the Gurkha army was in the region because they didn't want to face the kukri, and we can kind of see why. But if you look at this knife up here, you can see there's a little spot right here. There's a little spike coming out. And here's the reason for that. See, there became tradition with the kukri knife that anytime it was drawn, you had to draw blood with it. So if you didn't go hunting, if you didn't face an enemy, the soldier would sort of be obligated to poke his finger and to draw blood. So I'm gonna invite Pastor Alex back up here. No, just kidding. So what the Gurkha soldiers decided to do over time is they said, well, we don't necessarily want to draw blood every time this thing comes out. So they introduced these two smaller knives. So on every kukri knife, you'll see a big knife and then two smaller knives like this. Here was the idea: is if you were just cutting your food or trimming some, a branch or something, if you were cleaning your nails, if you were doing sort of a menial task to take care of yourself during the everyday, then you wouldn't need to break out the big knife. You could just have one of these smaller ones. And here is the idea that if you were consistent with the little knives, when the time came to use the big knife, you'd be ready because you'd kind of taken care of your day in and day out. Someone actually gave me one of these. This isn't it, but someone gave me one from World War II. It was carried by a Gurkha soldier in the Second World War, and it's all rusted. It's very cool. And I just tied it to my journal. I just tied around it there, and it's just a reminder for me that, hey, just do the little things. And I think sometimes as guys, we want to fight the big battles. Maybe we want to have the big moments. And maybe for some of us, God's preparing us for that. But you know what it's really about? It's really just kind of day in and day out and being consistent. That's really, I think, what we see in this story in the Bible is we see the influence and the change that Daniel and his friends are able to produce, as we're going to read in a moment. It comes through their daily decisions.